Texas Chainsaw Massacre is slashing its way onto Netflix this week, but is it any good? Find out here on the Beniverse. Hello, my name is Ben Friedman, and welcome to the Beniverse. Today I am talking about the newest released installment in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series entitled Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It released on Netflix this weekend on February 18th. This installment, again, entitled Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because apparently all you have to do these days is just take out the, and it's a completely brand new installment. This follows the events of the first one from the 1970s. It picks up about, I believe that would be about 50 years later, with Leatherface is back and he's out for vengeance and he's ready to kill, and he stumbles upon a town in Texas with a bunch of millennials who are trying to buy that town and reinvent it. I don't really know. That part of the story is really stupid. That part of the story, a lot of the story is really stupid, and that's where this film doesn't work, and it's where it falls apart. This story is not clever, which means it's not scary at a lot of times. Now, I'm not saying that in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I need the story to be of the utmost highest respect. That is not what I'm saying. I don't need a perfect, well-told story, but I need something to get me from point A to point B to point C that makes sense, and this is very incoherent. At a lot of times, it doesn't make clear sense, and the character motivations feel bad, and you just don't like these characters. That's a lot of the problem, too. There wasn't that typical hero protagonist that I got to root for. I was kind of rooting for Leatherface the whole time. Elsie Fisher is in this movie from 8th grade. She is really charming as an actress, and I like her, and I really wish this film had suited her better. Ultimately, though, her character is really off-putting just from the beginning. She does something right off the beginning where she just insults this random person that she's never met. Why have your hero do that from the beginning? She's supposed to be like a 17, 18-year-old, and I already just dislike her character and just don't have empathy or root for her just from this one really small action. It was unnecessary. And talking about unnecessary in this film, that's a lot of the story's points. Elsie Fisher's character is a survivor of a school shooting in Texas. They make a lot of references to that, and it's so unnecessary in this movie, and it feels like they put it in there because it's like, oh, this person's a survivor. All it does is it feels really hollow and really insensitive to school shootings. It just wasn't necessary in the movie, and like I said, it added nothing to the ultimate story. But no one's going into this movie really expecting a great story. They're here for the killing. So how are the killings in this film? Pretty mediocre in my opinion. What I don't like when horror films do is when they lose that sense of atmosphere. And this film's definition of atmosphere is shooting it in the dark. That's not atmosphere, it just makes the action and violence really hard to follow. I'm not seeing anything. There's so many kills in this movie where it's just like, I'm actually just confused what's going on because the cinematography is so dark and such in shadows. It's like, had you just brightened the lighting up a bit, you would have been able to have some really effective horror scares in here. But ultimately they decide that's not necessary in this film. It could have been budgetary restraints, it could have just been a bad idea, or it just could have been someone saying, let's just shoot it all in dark because the dark is the scariest. In this case, you just can't follow the action. And there's a few scenes like that. Most of the kills are in the dark. There's one in particular that I think is the one everyone's been highlighting, it's this bus massacre. And this bus massacre is when Leatherface just kind of goes on a killing spree. The issue with this scene, again, is not only is it too dark, it's really lit poorly, where it's supposed to kind of have this like DJ club feel to it with a lot of blue lights. But the problem is it's so confined, and the camera's cutting everywhere, and the lighting and cinematography is everywhere, and this bus seems to change its in size and proportions, where it's like, okay, this bus is pretty big, and now it's like, oh no, it's really cramped. You just don't have a great sense of location in this killing scene. Again, mixed with the fact that the action and violence is just so poorly shot, that this scene that's supposed to be the kind of the scene in the movie ends up falling flat. And that's ultimately my review of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This film just falls flat for a lot of it. I didn't like the story beats. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the violence and horror elements of this film. There were a few tendencies of this film that I liked. I liked that they tried to expand the history of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but they essentially just take it the same way Halloween did it, where it's just bringing back old characters and having them fight off against Leatherface in this I've been waiting for you for 50 years. It feels very hollow in this film. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a really bad horror film and one that I would not recommend you checking out this weekend. But let me know, did you see Texas Chainsaw Massacre? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe. And thank you guys for listening. I'm Ben at the Beniverse. Check me out every day for more reviews. Take care.